Boom shakalaka, might we have reached Bitcoin's mid-cycle top, or are we just a few short months away from a brand new peak? Stay tuned. What's up everyone, Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, a lot of very interesting charts for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, including are we at the mid-cycle top or maybe just 4 months away from the peak? Before we get into it, guys, like the video, it helps out a lot. Now today, fear and greed at 74, up from yesterday's 73. You can see we've been in the same territory, greed, light greed, for about the last month. The overall market sideways today. Bitcoin at 43,736, Ethereum at 23.44, BNB at 2.39, XRP 66 cents, Solana $72, Cardano 59 cents, Dogecoin 9 cents, and Avalanche $32. And Bitcoin, after having this little bit of a parabolic run up over the last week, has actually changed the steepness of the trend line. Today, trend line support roughly $40,000. Will we see Bitcoin breaking below those levels? Quite possibly. Unlikely, especially as the 50-day moving average is speeding up right now at about $37,000 for that. And we are officially in belief territory, out of optimism, out of hope and fear, out of capitulation, on the way up. This is generally the territory where things really start to take off for Bitcoin in terms of price action. We did just cross bullish for the first time this cycle, and whales are buying Bitcoin again. You can see here in the yellow for the cohorts with greater than 10,000 Bitcoin. They stopped accumulating for a while last month, but they actually sold at 38 and they had to buy back higher. Go figure, the whales don't know how to do everything every time. But if we take a look, all cohorts are accumulating Bitcoin at this point, probably in anticipation of the spot ETF approval. Now, is it too late? Arguably no. Based on the MVRV Z-score, this shows us that while there may be corrections, Bitcoin is far from overvalued on historic readings. Overvalued happens in this red territory. You can see we have just left the green territory, likely getting warmed up for the next 12 to 18 months. Even as Bitcoin trades roughly $44,000, a level which was the absolute zenith right here in red of on-chain media of January 2021, where old hands were spending coins at huge profit multiples, lighting up the value days destroyed multiple. Right now, we're at $44,000 and barely a squeak, not even at the 2019 levels. So this is very unlikely. The top hodlers are not relinquishing their coins. They are demanding higher prices. Could go up quite significantly, because if we take a look at the same levels of this yellow, we're similar to what we saw when Bitcoin was $10,000 before it 7x'd from there. So a 7x right now would be almost a $300,000 Bitcoin. But in the short term, we may have actually reached maybe a mid-cycle top based on the parabolic monthly SAR. It has flipped bullish for Bitcoin, meaning these dots are printing on the downside. But each time this happens where the dots print, that's generally, if you take a look here, a mid-cycle top level. So this $44,000, $45,000 area might be the mid-cycle top, might be a cool down for a few months until the halving when the parabolic bull run resumes. So that being said, a few other charts to take a look at. Bitcoin has just flipped the Firefly bands, breaking the downtrend. You can see it change from red to green right here. Now, historically, when that happens, that's strong uptrend territory for Bitcoin. So while this may be in a mid-cycle top, it may not last for that long. And the trendline resistance right here in the $200,000 territory for Bitcoin. So things are looking pretty good this cycle. As a matter of fact, Bitcoin is about to do something it has never done in history, have a golden cross on the weekly chart. Now, the longer the time frame of the chart, generally, the longer or the better idea it gives us of momentum change. But you can see Bitcoin had its first ever death cross back here earlier in February 2023. And it looks like within the next few weeks, there will be a 50 and 200 week moving average golden cross, which might send Bitcoin, again, this is the first time ever, might send Bitcoin on a trajectory no one has thought about. Because if we take a look, comparing Bitcoin with something we know about called cell phones. Cell phones have been around for 40 years or so at this point, and you can see the trajectory of cell phone adoption, this blue band right here. Now, 13-ish years into cell phones, we're roughly in the same territory as Bitcoin is right now for balances greater than 0.001 Bitcoin. And if this were to continue over the next 10 years, this would be the greatest gains apart from the previous 13 years that we would see. So between now and between 2030, could see some absolutely massive gains in terms of adoption and also likely Bitcoin price. So big things could be on their way. You know what confirms this? The super guppy indicator on the monthly chart. The last time we saw this was 4 years ago, right at the bottom in 2020, before Bitcoin took off. And I think this was when Bitcoin price was right around $3,000. But before it took off to a massive bull run, well, we are getting that signal once again, likely going to have a strong uptrend over the next year, unless it happens a lot more quickly than anyone expects. Because if we take a look at this liquidity signal, the Chinese 10-year over DXY, and the volatility indicator, whenever these signal at this one line right here, a peak has occurred within 4 to 10 months from that happening. Now, this happened back in October of 2023, almost 2 months ago. So potentially between February and August of this coming year, maybe on par for course with the halving, maybe on par for course with the spot ETF approval, we could have a brand new peak for Bitcoin happening a lot more quickly than anyone expects. And based on this falling wedge, inverted chart clearly, the top roughly hundreds of thousands of dollars, close to $500,000. So that's all for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, push the like button. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Love you. Peace.
If you don't think Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin and then $10 million a coin, you're already a loser.
From now on, if you don't own Bitcoin, you're a moron.